So, all you scared to death Negroes, just sit down. Don't you come out to defend our enemy. You sit down and you shut up and tell your master to come on out and deal with it.
So all praise is due to Allah. Give yourselves another round of applause. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to the hands of Sister Dawn, who is going to introduce us to our keynote presenter, whom we are so honored to have as part of the team. His excitement is so beautiful. And he said something to us at our meeting the other night. He said, you know, our parents did the best they could with what they had. And I'm sure he may repeat that to you again this evening. But we are only doing the best we can with what we have. And we pray that you are pleased, students, to feel a part of your nation and that your devotion is increasing ever more as you represent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So thank you. Sister Dawn, it's all yours.
Yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. I'm so excited, and I'm just kind of calmed down over here because I was over here in tears. So thank you, college students, for your hard work. Thank you for representing us so well, and we thank Allah for you all. So we are pleased and honored to have with us Brother Minister, Student Minister Abdul Muhammad. Abdul Muhammad, my apologies. Student Minister Abdul Muhammad joined the Nation of Islam in 1990 during his freshman year of college at Southern University and A&M College in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He holds a bachelor's in secondary education and a master's in educational leadership and has been an award-winning sought-after speaker and educator. Loved immensely by parents and students, as a teacher, he won the Teacher of the Year Award for the city of Chicago. He has also been featured in Who's Who among American high school teachers 4 times. Furthermore, he was twice nominated for the prestigious Golden Apple Award. Currently, he serves as a high school principal in Chicago. As a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, Student Minister Abdul has developed into a powerful speaker with the uncanny ability to reach the hearts and minds of young people. Let us welcome to the Demand for Separation College Summit, Student Minister, Brother Abdul Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum. All praises due to Allah. Thank you for that introduction. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, we give him praise and thanks for coming to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad and raising up in our midst the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and granting to us out of his grace, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I would like to greet all of you with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. I know you all are muted, but I'm sure you're returning the greetings. Brothers and sisters, I want to begin by thanking the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for being my teacher. You all are down there in the city of Atlanta. And of course, I'm from Atlanta. I just moved to Chicago after I graduated from college. But I heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as a high school student. I went to Towers High School, which is in Decatur. I'm sure you may be familiar. As a senior in high school, when I was a junior, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. And the autobiography of Malcolm X, when I read it as a junior, I was reading the book and I made up my mind while reading the autobiography that I wanted to join the Nation of Islam, but I had no idea where to go to join the Nation of Islam. So that was my junior year. I want to say that same year, and you know, you have to pardon me if I don't have them all back to back together. But while I was going through that process, the Ku Klux Klan was marching through downtown Atlanta. They had this big march. And some of the older brothers and sisters on this chat might remember this was during the time when underground Atlanta was being built. And I was a high school student. I was either a junior or a senior, but at that time I had a big chip on my shoulder as it regards white people, as we all should, right? That chip has been earned, right? It's not a chip, it's like a deep gash, right? So when I heard that the Ku Klux Klan was going to march through downtown Atlanta as a high school student, I was like, man, look, I can't let that happen. Me and all of my friends who I influenced, right? We all said that we were going to the Ku Klux Klan rally or march, and we was getting it cracking. That's what we all said, right? And when I was young, didn't have any guidance or direction. I remember I was reading this book by Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, and I thought I was smart, so I had a backpack on. I know you asking, what does this have to do with separation? Absolutely everything. I had a backpack on, and in my backpack, because I thought I was so smart, I had a change of clothes, because I figured, like, once I fight the police, I'm gonna dip off in the alley, change my clothes and walk out the alley like nothing happened, right? So, I had a stick. I figured, man, the police got their stick, right? So I had a stick that I had, because in my mind, I'm gonna fight the police if it gets to that, right? I wasn't thinking, well, he's been trained to use his stick. I haven't had not a minute of training to use my stick, but in my mind, I thought I had everything all figured out, right? So we get down there, and it was 5,000 police officers to protect. None of the Klans members showed up, but 7 skinheads showed up, right? And when the march started, a riot broke out. And of course, you asking, were you involved, brother? I mean, absolutely, throwing bricks, bottles. We tore up underground Atlanta before they could finish building it. So I was absolutely 100% involved in everything that happened that day, right? So again, I'm young. I'm reading autobiography, of Malcolm X. And when the riot was over, I'm about to leave. I'm at 5 Points. I don't know if you all are familiar with Walters, where it used to be when I was down there, because I had to get all the fresh clothes. So I got arrested right around the corner from where I would get my fresh clothes at Walters. I don't know if y'all familiar with that, but I'm at 5 Points, and there I get arrested by the police. And it was a brother who stopped me, and the brother, I had my stick in my hand. He had his stick. He had a shield. He had a helmet. He had a bulletproof vest. I just had a stick in a book bag. So the brother looks at me. He's like, man, drop your stick and go home. That's the mercy of a black man. So I wasn't going to try to fight the brother. I dropped my stick, and I was about to leave. And then a white police officer came from all the way down the street, ran up, arrested me, threw the cuffs on me, threw me in the paddy wagon, took me to wherever they take you in Atlanta. It was in downtown, so wherever they took me. They found out that I was a juvenile, so they had to drive me way out somewhere to where the juveniles have to be, right? And I was gonna spend, my mother did come and get me. She cussed me out all the way home, talked bad about me all the way home, right? Like an hour ride. And but when I went to court, I had a lawyer. He was a Negro, like the Uncle Tom character, right? And the white lawyer, who was my prosecutor, was like, we're going to charge him with inciting to riot. And my black lawyer gets on the elevator and says, oh, you can't get him on that. You can't get him on inciting to riot. This is an open and shut. We're going to win. You can't get him on. I'm looking at him like, me and my father, I'm looking at him like, man, why are you even talking to this dude? We get it. So then at the last minute, we get to the court, and the lawyer, the prosecutor, puts in a plea, not a plea, but a change for the inciting to riot. But then also he puts in disturbing the peace. So the Negro lawyer, right, who gave away the whole game, he only had enough ammunition in his tool belt to defend the inciting to riot charge, but he was not prepared to defend the disturbing the peace charge. Let me pause right there. And I want to say, I apologize, because I wanted to start with my thank yous and I have it written down. So I want to begin, I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, by thanking the Atlanta Parents Engagement Alliance team. Sister Odetta, Sister Nicola, Sister Mecca, Sister Dawn, Sister Anita, and Sister Afua. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. And I want to thank student minister Abdul Muhammad, who, when I came in the nation, was my supreme captain, and his wife, Sister Sharifa, and all of their children, because I taught many of their children when I was a teacher at Muhammad University of Islam. And we definitely mourn the loss of our dearly beloved sister and all of the brothers and sisters who are martyrs for the cause of Islam in America, because there would be no Islam in America if somebody wasn't strong enough and courageous enough and willing to sacrifice their life to establish Islam. I also want to thank all of the college students that are here, because you all represent the future of the Nation of Islam. I know as a young person, I came in the nation when I was 18, and I know you think that you are overlooked, that you are unappreciated, that you do not matter, and it is absolutely not true. You matter, we love you, we need you. The nation cannot survive without you. So even if people make you feel that way, Allah does not look at you like that. Allah loves you. And he chose you out of the billions of people, right? He chose you to come through the womb of your parent and to accept Islam and be in the Nation of Islam out of the billions of people that's on the planet. Allah, God, Master Fard Muhammad chose you to be a part of the Nation of Islam and a part of his mission of giving life to the dead. So it doesn't matter if brother so-and-so appreciates you or understands you or looks at, appreciates the youth. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if sister so-and-so overlooks you. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that Allah, Master Fard Muhammad, chose you to be a part of his nation and has put you in a position to take the Nation of Islam to the next level. So I want to start with those thank yous. I definitely appreciate every young person that is lending me their ear. And you may say, well, brother, why are you saying all of these things about you getting arrested at the riot and you fighting the police and you, because Allah, God, Master Fard Muhammad, who chose all of us, everybody here has been chosen, right? He loves us so much that the route by which he brings us to him was designed by him, right? Specifically for us. So all of us who came to Islam, if we go back in our life, we can think of all of these different events that Allah specifically put in our life so that at a certain point in the future, we would accept Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So this is why I'm sharing this, and there's another reason as well I'll get to in a second. So let me just wrap this up real quick. So brothers and sisters, when I was at court, the Negro attorney could only defend the inciting to riot, but he was not prepared to defend disturbing the peace. So the judge, of course, he said, well, he's not guilty of inciting a riot because he didn't make anybody riot, but he is guilty of disturbing the peace. So we're going to give him, I think it was 90 days probation, right? And I'm looking at this attorney like he's a Negro, but it was all part of Allah's plan, because I never went to go see my probation officer ever, right? Because I was mad. I was a revolutionary. I was like with Malcolm X. I'm not going to see this probation officer. I don't care nothing about the white man. So the brother calls me on the phone and is like, look here, man, if you don't come see me, then we're going to have you locked up. So then I got on the bus, MARTA, moving Africans rapidly through Atlanta. I got on the bus and I went to go see my probation officer. And it was nothing that this man could tell me. Like you all hear me saying on the rostrum, but it is an actual fact. I got video. I don't have no pictures, but I have video footage that my children are never going to see of me with dreadlocks on one side of my head and a perm on the other side. And I'm just telling, because I was insane, right? So I don't know what my hair was looking like when I met him, but nothing he was saying, I was listening, nothing this man had to say, period. So he knew that. So he goes in his drawer at the probation office and pulls out a tape and gives it to me. And the tape that my probation officer gave me was a tape of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I'm just showing you how Allah works and how he puts events in your life to lead you down the path that he wants you to be on. Now, before that even happened, after I got arrested, right, I had to come back downtown to get my book bag, right, and my change of clothes, and I thought I was so smart. This is even before I met a probation officer. When I went to go get my items, I went wherever it was downtown, and the brother is giving me my stuff. My name has always been Abdul. And as I'm leaving, he asked me, he said, "Are you with Farrakhan?" And I didn't know who the hell the minister was at that time. I'm a teenager. I'm like 17. But his name just sounded like the name of the person you're supposed to be with. So as I was walking, I was like, yeah, I'm with Farrakhan. So now I'm talking all this trash, telling everybody I'm in the nation. I'm a Muslim because I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. So then in 1990, on April 28th, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is coming to speak at the Omni in Atlanta. And I've been telling everybody I'm a Muslim. I read the autobiography. I'm in the nation, right? I'm fronting, right? So all my friends in high school are asking me, "Are you going to hear Farrakhan?" I couldn't tell them no, because I've been telling them I'm a Muslim. So I went to the Omni. Some of you may have been there. I was there. I was sitting on the floor, had my long Malcolm X t-shirt on, right? And when the minister spoke, most of what he said went over my head as a 17-year-old. I was still 17, right? But when he did that part on Add It Up, and when he did that, as a person who's like, look, my thing is let's get it cracking, right? That was my thing in Atlanta, right? All through Atlanta, all through Decatur, we trying to fight white folks. When he said that, I thought in my mind, once we leave the Omni, all these black people are going to burn down downtown. I'm just ready to go fight as soon as it's over, right? Before I left, I filled out a pledge card because we used to have pledge cards back then, right? And I gave it to a brother on post, and I said, "Brother, y'all gonna call me, right?" And you know, like we do, that brother was like, "Yeah, brother, we're gonna call you." He took the pledge card, never got a call. And I'm not blaming anybody. It is what it is, right? That's why we need you all so we can be better organized, right? So now I left the Omni thinking, man, it's about to be a fight. I get outside, ain't nobody fighting. Nothing's on fire. Ain't no cars flipped over. Ain't nobody beating up the police. Everybody's getting in their car going home. I was confused. I got on a bus, got on a train, went home, but I was confused. And I'm gonna give y'all the short version. So shortly thereafter, brothers and sisters, I came to Southern University, historically black college, and I had my little Malcolm X book bag. And when the brothers in the nation were fishing on campus, and the young brothers, some of them had gone to the mosque that day, and I didn't get a chance to go. So I was like, man, because I always just wanted to be in the nation, right? They never called me back, but I never lost my desire to be in the nation. When the young brothers who went to the mosque that Sunday came back to the dorm, they were like, yeah, we went to the mosque. I was like, man, what, they was telling me what they was talking about. He's like, yeah, they asked me my name, but, I gave them a fake name, and a fake phone number. And I'm looking like, what? You gave the nation a fake name? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, how could you do something like that? So the next Sunday, I'm walking to the library with my Malcolm X book bag on. And a brother was coming, Brother Andrew, who's a friend of mine. He swore he fished me in the nation. If you ask him, he fished me in. And I only had the heart to argue with him, so he fished me in. I'm walking to the library, and the guest that he was going to pick up canceled on him. He sees me with my Malcolm X book bag, and he said, brother, you want to go to the mosque? That's all I wanted to hear. Like, I've been looking for y'all. So I jumped in the car. We went to the mosque, and I'm going to tell you the absolute truth. They were doing all of these theatrics to impress the young people, drilling, having all these speakers come up, doing everything they could, thinking that was going to make us join the nation. They could have said anything. They could have said, look, man, doo-doo stank. Do you want to join? I was going to raise my hand. I was going to stand up because I came for one reason, and that reason was to join the Nation of Islam. I don't care what they said. None of that stuff impressed me. I didn't need no convincing. I didn't need no charts, graphs, none of that. All I needed was the location because I came to join the nation. So I'm saying all of that to say, what does that have to do, brothers and sisters, with the demand for separation? Because that is the topic. It has everything to do, because separation that we are demanding, right? That we want, and in the want is not an ask, right? but it is a demand. So there's a difference between an ask, right, and a demand, right? You may ask your mama, can I use your car? Mama, can I use your car? Or mama, can I go in the refrigerator? Or whatever the case may be. That's an ask, right? But your mama doesn't have to ask. What she just has to do what? Because she has the authority. So she just makes the what? The demand. So we're not asking for separation, right? It's not an ask. Even in what the Muslims want, it's not an ask. It really is a demand, right? So, but why did you tell us how you came in the nation, and what does that have to do with separation? So, brothers and sisters, there's different forms of separation, right? The first separation that has to happen before there can be a physical separation, there has to be a spiritual separation. So the work that we do of teaching our people the truth about God, right? The truth about the Bible, the truth about the Holy Quran. You may not realize, but the majority of what, I can't say the majority, but the Nation of Islam and what we teach has changed the entire world of religion, because the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and his ministers taught the truth, right? And the Christian ministers that tried to debate them could not debate them with truth and win. So they were forced to do what? They had to separate themselves from false beliefs, from false ideology. You have a church down there in Atlanta called the Shrine of the Black Madonna. And in the Shrine of the Black Madonna, you go there and there's a black Jesus, right? Everything's black. They want to buy land. They want to have their own. Where did that come from? All of these black theologians are students of a man named James Cone, C-O-N-E. James Cone was a Christian pastor, and he got into a debate with Malcolm X. And Malcolm X did what any Muslim would do, destroyed every argument that he could present. So he created what is called black theology, where you get the Shrine of the Black Madonna and many other black churches from. I'm only saying that to say that before there can be a physical separation, there first has to be a what? There has to be a spiritual separation from the lies that the white man has told. And a lot of those lies he's told in the name of religion. So myself, and I use that story because I used to go to church. We went to Greatest Travelers Rest right down there in Atlanta. And when we would go to church, I did not believe, what they were saying, but I couldn't, because it didn't make no sense. When I came to the nation, everything the nation taught made absolute perfect sense, which that's many of you, especially you young, that's y'all like, man, this just adds up. So I want to be with what makes sense, right? So there first has to be a spiritual separation, right? When I was on my journey, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X and as a high school student. And what that did, reading the words of Malcolm and his relationship with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and then starting to read the rap group, and I know I might be going over time, so I'm gonna wrap it up. I know the rap group Run DMC did a song called Proud to Be Black. And they were naming all of these various black people. And I started to research all of these black people that I never knew about, right? So what did that do? That created a mental separation, because I no longer wanted to be a part of the white man's world. And there was a gap where, like, I didn't know what I wanted to be a part of, but I knew I didn't want to be a part of that, right? So when we teach and the work that we do, we're creating for our people the spiritual separation, right? From the false religious ideas that there's a heaven in the sky, that you're going to get a reward once you're dead and you're going to live forever either in the sky, right? Or you're going to burn forever in the ground. We separated our people from those false religious ideologies, right? Then the most honorable Elijah Muhammad gave our people the knowledge of self after giving them the knowledge of God and the knowledge of our real history, right? And most Negroes, when he was teaching it, disagreed with them and then started to research it and found out that this man was telling the truth. So now what is commonplace, right? If you go among some black people and you say Jesus is black, or the black people were the first human beings, nobody's going to fight you. Nobody's going to cuss you out. Nobody's going to want to hit you in the mouth. But if you would have taught that in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, our Negroes would want to fight you. So we don't live during that time. We live on the other side of that mental dark period that black people lived under. And that's thanks to the work of the Nation of Islam and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But that work was necessary to create a mental separation from white people and what they teach, right? So now you have Muhammad University and you have independent black education, but you only have that because of the sacrifice of the members of the Nation of Islam who went to jail so that black people could have the right to educate their own. Now you have millions of black people and white people who now educate their own, but none of them made the sacrifice. Why did the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad say that having an independent school was the most important thing that we could have? Because if we take you all who are here and we send you to the public school system of our enemy, everything that we teach you of independence, of self, of God, when you get with them, they're going to try to undo everything that we have done. So this is why we have to have independent education for you all. So now you all are about to go, and I have to say this. So there has to be a spiritual separation. There has to be a mental separation. There has to be a moral separation. All of you here who are about to go to college, you are about to go to an environment that is not a righteous environment. You're about to go to an environment that some of you might want to go to that environment. But I'm going to say this as a young person. Most of you who grew up in Islam, if you go now after living the life of a Muslim for your first 18, 19, or 20 years, if you go now and try to live the life of a Negro, you're going to kill yourself trying to live the life of a Negro. You never lived that life. You didn't live that. You didn't grow up like that. So if you try to go now to live that type of lifestyle that is contrary to everything that you've been taught, you will destroy yourself. I'm just letting you know. The world may look attractive, but it's Satan's world. He makes it look attractive, but there's absolutely no value in Satan's world. I know it's hard. It looks good on the outside, right? But once you get in it, there is no benefit. There is no good in it. So it would be better, brothers and sisters, for you all who are about to go to college, because we need you. We need you all to help us to build the nation. And we need you to strive when you go to school, to remain a righteous Muslim, because the enemy is always working to bring you down from where God has placed you. That is the actual fact. Not just the enemy on the outside, but also the enemy on the inside. The enemy on the outside uses the weakness of self that is on the inside to manifest weaknesses so that he can pull you down. But my thing to you is, don't allow yourself to be pulled down. The benefit that I had, I went to a black college, and the ratio when I got there was like 14-1, something like that, female to male. And as a young man on a black college campus, the only way I was able to maintain my righteousness, right, was that I had a group of brothers and sisters, and we helped each other to maintain our righteousness. If you think, oh man, I'm gonna go here to the cesspool of filth where they smoking, they drinking, shooting dice, having sex, running women, whatever, smoking weed, because now that's the thing, right? Loud, whatever. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna be by myself, and I'm going to just make it on the strength of myself, then you're deceiving yourself. Allah gives you brothers and sisters for a reason, to help you to be strong if you become weak, right? I would not have made it at Southern University without us having a strong group of brothers and sisters to help us to maintain our righteousness. So brothers and sisters, the separation, there has to be a moral separation from the white man's world. I know we talk about the physical separation, but in any separation, it doesn't start physical. It starts where? It starts in the mind. You all who may live with your parents, like as I live with my mama, right? At a certain age, it's just a natural friction that is created between parent and child. Because if it wasn't a natural friction, some of these parents like, no, it's more than friction, brother. It probably is. If it wasn't a natural friction, right, then you would stay there forever, because we want the path of least resistance. So your parent wants the house to be one way. You want things because you're older, so you're independent. You're not a child anymore, but you're not able to take care of yourself either, right? So you want certain freedoms, and your parents want certain things as well. And you're like, man, so before there's a physical separation, where does it start? You start thinking, man, I got to get the hell up out of here. I can't, like, that's where it started with me. It started with me in my head saying, I can't take this woman's mouth no more. My mother, who I love to death, right? I got to get the hell up out of here, right? So when I went to school, like I was at school, I came home. I was like, man, I got to go. I moved out when I was 19. My mother ain't seen me since, right? So, but it started where? It started me thinking, right? And guess what? Now you may, the young people like, yeah, that's you right. But guess what? Your parents, they like, man, you got to get the hell up out of here too. In their mind, they're saying you got to go. It's no hatred, right? You don't hate your mama. You may say that, but you really don't. It's just emotion. Your mama don't hate you. Your daddy don't hate you. It's natural friction because the two parties want two different things. And that natural friction is going to end up as what? As separation. And when you're separated, like my mother, I love my mother, right? I love my mother. She loved when I come home to visit because I'm not living with her. I'm just visiting, so I get all the love. You understand? So we can still have a relationship and be separate, right? If there is abuse in the relationship, as some of you all said in your presentations, which were great, then that's going to cause the party that's being abused, if they're intelligent, to think, how can I get out of this situation? And it's going to lead to a what? It's going to lead to a separation. I'm only saying that, brothers and sisters, to say separation is a natural process. It's not something foreign. It's absolutely natural to want to be separate, to want to be independent, to want to be on your own. When you were little, and your parents can attest, at a certain point, your mama put your underwear on, right? Wiped your butt, brushed your teeth, gave you a bath, right? Did everything that you couldn't do for yourself. What happened? She did everything for you. And then at a certain point, naturally, you wanted to brush your own teeth. You wanted to put on your own pants, right? You wanted to wipe your own butt, right? Hopefully, right? So it's a natural development for this thing that's called separation. It's not something foreign. Our people have been hoodwinked. But now look at how, and I'm finishing, look at how Allah is working on Black people. So in the Bible, Jesus says in the book of Matthew that you will hear wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise up against nation, kingdom against kingdom, right? He said, these are just the beginning of the birth pains. This is Jesus, right? So anybody who's had a child, I was there when my first son was born. I was there when all of my children were born. But with my son on that first contraction, you know, because we watched television and we were deceived by TV, me and my wife jumped in the car and we rode to the hospital. We were there for like 26 hours. I fell asleep. There's a picture of me asleep somewhere, right? And even though that first contraction came, my son didn't come to 26 hours later, right? So the doctor tells you to measure the time between the contractions, and the closer the pain comes, then the closer the baby is to be separated from the mother, right? So if you look at what Allah is allowing to happen and causing to happen, every time you turn on the television, there is back to back to back abuse, murder, killing, right? Disrespect of Black people. And you can't even one event happens, as you all talked about in the video, and then before you can fully process that event and even mourn that event, another event happens back to back. These are the birth pains that will lead to the separation of Black people from our 400-year-old open enemy. So Allah, we're doing our work, right? Allah definitely is doing his work and is working on the minds of our people. So many of you young people, when you go talk to your friends and you talk about separation, they with it. We have to be able to articulate to them how that looks and the stages that's going to take. And I'm going to finish with this. White people, you know, Black people in the nation, we teach separation, right? But white people practice separation. You're down there in Atlanta. And when Black people started to move to the city of Atlanta, right? What did white people do? They moved to Sandy Springs, right? They separated themselves from the people they didn't want to be around. They moved to Alpharetta. They moved to Gwinnett County, right? They still there right now. They moved to Roswell because they didn't want to be around you. Every major city, every last one of them. I'm in Chicago. Chicago used to be all white. When Black people migrated from the South to the North, Black people moved in Chicago, white people moved out. The same happened in Detroit. The same happened in Harlem. The same happened in all of these major cities. When Blacks migrated from the South to the North, the Black people moved in, they call it white flight, and the white people moved out. They have a word, it's called the tipping point. And the tipping point is the point where when that last Black family moves in, it could be one on the block, right? The white folks like, okay, it's only one. We can all, I mean, if they do anything, we could deal with them. Then it's two, right? The tipping point might be three, right? So all of these things happen. White people believe in separation. You went to a Black school, most of you, right? And because the white people did not want you to be in school with their children, they didn't want your children, Black children and white children, to be in school together. So most of us went to Black schools, right? Because the white people didn't want to be with us. When I came to Chicago, most white children don't go to Chicago public schools. They send their children to Catholic schools. Why? Because they don't want their children to be with Black folks. So they practice separation. We just talk about separation. But now when you talk to your friends, you have to make some points to them. Because if you look at it, we're already separate. Like the brother made in his in one of his comments that to move 30 million people to one location, how long would that take, right? Not that we shouldn't move to a location, but that would take time. But if you look in every major city, you look in Atlanta, right? You have the Black part of town, right? That's all Black. You have the white part of town. Every city, I want you all, the students, to look up. There's a map called the racial dot map that this cartographer put together. And every race is a particular color. Like I think Black is green, Asian is red, white is definitely blue, right? There's a reason for that. So every race is a different color on the racial dot map. And then he puts a dot for every person of that race in the United States. So all you see on the map are the colors. Every city, the green, which is Black, is all together. The red, which is Asian, is all together. The blue, which is white, is all together. And the Hispanic, I forgot what color they are. Everybody is already separate. So what we're not arguing. The argument is not separation. We already separate. The argument is we don't own where we live, so we just a colony. We're already separate, so let's not even fight over that. Now it's time to own exactly where we live and do something for ourselves as every other race and every other ethnic group in their separate part is already doing. So we don't even have to convince people about separation because we're already separate. So let's go to step 2, right? So brothers and sisters, that's, when you're talking to people who, it's kind of a hard pill for them to swallow, like the Uncle Tom, right? It's a hard pill for them to swallow. We want to bring the actual facts. And for you young brothers and sisters, it's so easy because your peers are already right there with you mentally. Why? Because of the work of the nation, there's already been a spiritual separation. They don't go to church, only on Easter, right? There's already a mental separation because the things that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught for 40 years, that's now common knowledge among Black people. So that part of the separation has already happened. The white man wants to keep us engaged in his immoral lifestyle to bring us down. So we haven't yet achieved the moral separation, but we're working on the moral, the economic, but we're already physically separate from white people. We're not living around white folks. So brothers and sisters, I just want to say, and I'm ending, and I know I said that 3 times, but this time it's for real. Every prophet in the Bible, every last one of them, y'all in the Bible Belt, every prophet taught separation. Look at Abraham. When Abraham went to God and said about the people in Sodom and Gomorrah, you're going to kill the righteous along with the wicked. So Abraham was with them in his mind, right? So God said, look, go see if you can find 50 that are righteous. He came back, he said, I couldn't find 50, right? So now God is taking him through the steps of mental separation from this idea that this place need to be saved. So he said, go find 40. He couldn't find 40. Go find 30. Couldn't find 30. He said, look, go find 1. He went to find 1 righteous person, right? And couldn't find 1. And that's when Abraham said, okay, well, they do need to be destroyed. But God allowed that time so that Abraham would know that he would have to separate himself from his emotional attachment to a people who were not even righteous. When Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah, the angels came to separate him and his followers out, right? So there was a separation in the life of every prophet. There was a separation. Jesus in the Bible said that he would separate the wheat from the tare, the sheep from the goats, right? In the life of Prophet Muhammad, he was in Mecca among his enemies, and his enemies wanted to kill him, and they surrounded him to take his life. And Prophet Muhammad hid in a cave for 3 days, but then traveled to Medina because he had to separate himself from his own family, which were enemies of Islam. And after he separated himself in the life of the prophet, when he came to Medina, he was the political and the spiritual leader, came to power after separation, and then conquered Mecca, and then made that whole part of the world of Islam as we know it today. So every prophet we read about in the Bible, every last one of them teaches separation. So brothers and sisters, this thing that we are demanding is not something that is unrealistic. It is something that every people, white folks, they believe it, they teach it, they support it 100%, right? For themselves, they just don't want to support it for you. But what we have to do is, as you all go to college and you engage young people, when I was in college, I represented the Nation of Islam on the college campus as best I could. I have videos that nobody will ever see, as best I could. And it's not necessarily, brothers and sisters, about you getting everybody to join the nation. What you want them to do is join on to the idea of separation. Because whether they come in the nation or not, if they accept the idea, they're already in the nation. They just haven't registered. You can't make them join something that they're already a part of. They're already Muslims. So you just want to lay out the actual facts so they join on to the idea of separation. Don't go to college and allow the college to turn you out. Don't go to college, and if you go to a white college, you get convinced that the white man is not the devil. Don't allow yourself, after everything that we've seen, do not allow yourself to be deceived. I have great relationships with white people, very good relationships. But I believe, I don't believe it, I know the nature of the white man and woman is to do evil to us. I know that I'm not deceived. I'm not trying to be their friend and like go to brunch with them, but I still have great relationships with them. And the way I'm dressed right now, I wear a suit and a bow tie. I've been in, this is how I dress. I dress like this for many reasons, but I'm not trying to hide the fact that I'm in the nation. That's my point to you. So when you're in college, brothers and sisters, represent the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, your parents, your nation, yourself, and form a brotherhood and a sisterhood with the very brothers and sisters that are on this chat to keep each other strong in Islam and keep each other strong in righteousness. Do not look at your parents as your enemies. God gave them to you to help guide you through something that they've already been through, so that they can help you. I'm gonna end. I know I said it, but and sister, I know you're looking like, okay, yeah, I am. Listen to what Jay-Z said, last quote. Jay-Z said that when he came in the music business, when Russell Simmons came in, it took him 20 years to make $500 million. He said, when me and Diddy came in, we learned from Russell, and it only took us 10 years. He said that the person that comes behind me, it'll only take them 5 if they do what? If they learn from him, right? So now Kanye done made that money. I don't know how long it took him. I didn't look at the math. But my point is, all he's doing is laying out a principle that Allah gives you the prior generation, right? Because all of you have goals and things you want to do. And the sister shared about the internships. So you partner with somebody who's done what you're trying to do, and then you're able to do what you're trying to do in a shorter amount of time. It don't mean that the previous generation, oh, y'all didn't do nothing. Y'all just, no, it's that they worked. It might've been 10 years. It might've been 20 years. And now they can show you how to do it in half the time. And then you will show the next generation how to do it in half the time. That's real progress. Real progress ain't what my parents told me. Oh boy, I did it. You're gonna have to figure it out on your own. That ain't progress. Real progress is me guiding you so that what took me 10 or 20 years to do won't take you that long, because I'm showing you, I'm not giving you the shortcut. I'm just sharing with you the mistakes and errors I made so you don't make those same mistakes and errors. So brothers and sisters, your parents love you. Your nation loves you. Allah, most of all, loves you. The Honorable Louis Farrakhan loves you. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad loves you. And we need you all to go to college, get the knowledge, and bring that knowledge back to the nation and back to our people, so we can help in the mission of the resurrection of the dead. Brothers and sisters, I would like to greet you with it's orange for Hispanics. Thank you. I see that. I hadn't been reading the chat. I would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace. And I thank you all for allowing me to share just a few words. And I know I went over the time, and I do really apologize, because the sisters had everything absolute down to the minute. And then Brother Abdul came and messed everything up. So I do apologize, but I thank you all for the invitation. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. Brother Abdul, if anyone thinks that you were going to stop at the time that was indicated for you to stop, they're an infiltrator on this Zoom.
All praise is due to Allah.
Everybody knows when the Muslims say they're about to wrap it up, or they're about to land that plane has to go back around, to make
one
another
more time, right?
But we thank Allah for you, brother. We thank you for
All
the message shared with us. We pray that the students' devotion to Allah and Islam is increased by everything that they've experienced today. We don't want to belabor anyone's time, but I just wanted to make sure that none of the students had any questions for you. If you have a moment to take maybe 1 or 2 questions.
Oh, absolutely.
So that they can, in fact, ask you whatever they may have on their mind at any point where you know that we are taking up all your time. Because look at them, they're putting in their earphones. I see Jasmine like, oh, yeah, I got a question. So if you can give us a few more minutes of your time.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Students, you may go on mute and you may ask your question. Just raise your hand so that we can acknowledge who we're going to allow to ask that first question. Sister Jasmine, you can unmute yourself and ask your question to Minister Abdul.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Jasmine. I have a question. So I think I heard you worked in a public school system before, and I was wondering if one was to do that, what are some examples or pointers or guidance you can give us? Now that's not what I want to do, but I'm just asking.
Are you the education major in our group, Sister Jasmine?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Sister Jasmine, Allah blessed me to major in education, and I started at Muhammad University of Islam. That was my first teaching job right after I got out of college, and it really laid the foundation for me being the teacher that I am. When I came into the public school system, so I'll say this, that the reason I had to leave Muhammad University is because the MUI doesn't have the same, and this is why we need you all's help. So my family was growing. and I had to make more money, which is just a reality of life. So I went into the public school system, but I didn't know at the time how much our children in the public school system needed us. Like, see, in the nation, we separate ourselves. We're separate, which is a good thing, but we can't be separate and be bourgeoisie and look down on Black people who need us. So like a lot of us don't know the reality of Black life in America, because like many of you who are here, you may judge your parents and look at them a certain type of way or whatever, but you don't know the reality of Black life. You don't know the hell that Black children grow up under in this country. And you think that the little things that your parents are doing is like so horrible. But when you work in the public, then you are face to face with the real reality under which our people live. So when I came to the public school, I was faced with that reality, but I had such a good foundation at Muhammad University that it allowed me to succeed. And I'll say a few things, Sister Jasmine. One thing that I'll say first is there's absolutely nothing wrong with Black children. I've been teaching Black children my whole life, and I've worked at some of the so-called worst schools in the city of Chicago, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with Black children. I mean, I don't know what y'all heard, but there's nothing wrong with our children, right? And I'm in Chicago. So the thing that our children need is they need good teachers. And Allah blessed me to be a good teacher. I tried to always be represent the Nation of Islam always when I went into the schools. But one of the things that changed the way I teach, at the end of the year, my students would ask me, I would ask them, what they learned, right? I would ask them what they wish they could have learned, right? How could I improve my class? And one young lady wrote, and I still have these somewhere because, teachers save everything. We don't throw anything away. The young lady wrote that she wished that she would have learned more about Black history. So when she wrote that, now I'm Abdul Muhammad, I'm in the Nation of Islam, and I have a student that sat with me for 40 weeks. And at the end of that 40 weeks, she said that she wished she learned more about Black history. Broke my heart because I felt like I didn't do my job, because I knew all of these things about Black history, but I wasn't teaching them everything that I knew. So when I read that, I made up my mind right then. I said, next year, I'm going to give my students a Black history fact every day at the beginning of the class for the whole school years, because I'll never have a student tell me at the end of the year they wished they learned more about Black history. So the next year, I started my year by I was a history teacher. So now I don't want y'all to think like I go into the classroom with a picture of the Master Fard Muhammad and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, right, on the wall, and we doing opening prayer, because it's the white man system. So I'm not going in there into the white man school system trying to convert children, right? That's not what I'm doing. But I'm a history teacher, and so much of what we are taught is history, right? It's historical. So it's like actual facts historical, not necessarily religion, right? So I said I'm going to give them a Black history fact every day. The first Black history fact I give every year, and I have an order that I go through, is I deal with this term. So my first Black history fact is, what is a nigger? Because nigger is a word that I would not allow them to use, but you can't tell children not to do something and not really explain to them why, right? So that's my first Black history fact. My second Black history fact is, who is the original man? The same thing that you would hear me teach at Mas Mariam, right? And I'm not saying, well, who is the original man, children? Original man is the Black man. Okay, now let's go on to, no. Who is the original man? Define original, bring the proof, all of that you would see in any presentation that we would do, right? And these students, I had them have a Black history notebook where they would write down the Black history facts in their notebooks every day. Who is Lewis and Mary Leakey? All of these, I did a Black history fact every day on everything, right? That from Black history. You're going to ask me, brother, did you do one on the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? I did 3, part 1, 2, and 3, right? And I remember one year after I did the Black History Fact on the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, one student wrote at his end of the year essay, oh yeah, the thing that I learned about the most was the great Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That just made me feel so good. But see, that, Sister Jasmine, I'm bringing this up because that change in my teaching, right, changed my whole trajectory and changed the lives of all of those students. So this one girl, if I saw her today, I wouldn't even recognize her. Like I haven't seen her since, right? But that one comment was so powerful that it changed the way I taught, and it benefited thousands of students that came after that one student. So if you meet any of my students, then they know who John Hawkins is. It's not, because I taught them that, right? They know like Jesus is Black because I taught them that, right? So all of these things that are historical, I taught all of those things. And not that, so I don't want you to think they accepted everything like, oh, like I had a student stand up, oh, Muhammad, no, Muhammad, I can't honor that. You Jesus Black? No, I can't honor that. About a year and a half ago, I saw this student at 7-Eleven love me to death, right? I had a student tell me one day, oh, Muhammad, because when you talk about pork, they're like, oh, I'm going to eat pork. I'm going to do this, that, and the third, right? Maybe 3 years ago, this student even sends me a message on Facebook telling me how healthy he's eating. So I'm only saying this to say, sister, that the impact that we have as teachers is, see, teachers who are full of vanity, right? They want to teach and they want the change to happen right after they teach it. So then they can say, look what I have done, right? So they can say, I said this today, and then everybody changed tomorrow, right? That's vanity. It doesn't, like, life ain't even like that, right? But what has happened in my years of teaching is I just taught. And those children grew up with what I taught. And now the influence of what I taught is being manifested in their lives, right? So whether you are in Muhammad University, whatever the case may be, the thing that, what does all of this mean, right? Like, what does all of this mean? Is that you have to give our children a root in themselves. If you're teaching preschool, if you're teaching kindergarten, you teaching third grade, you teaching high school, if you do not give them the knowledge of self, right? The greatest knowledge is the knowledge of self. And if you do not give them that, then you're doing them a disservice. So wherever you go in the field of education, right, you have to give the children that knowledge. Now, the white man has stolen everything that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. So now, today, in 2020, I sit down Abdul Muhammad in professional developments, and I see them present with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They have a thing called backwards mapping. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that when you teach somebody, you begin with the end in mind. You tell them what you want them to do or what you want them to be, and then you show them how to do it. Well, if you become an educator, they call that backwards mapping. They stole that from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Right now, to this day, they have where they are saying that, they have all these fancy words, but that, of course, Black children need Black teachers, right? You got to teach Black children and Hispanic children about themselves for them to be engaged in the learning process. It's the same thing the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. If you're going into the field of education, make sure you give your students a root in themselves, the knowledge of self. Knowledge of self produces love for self, right? And those children will grow, as the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, in our Savior has arrived, they will grow into a new growth. So if you're going into the field of education, that's a mighty field to go into. You have to give your children, your students, the knowledge of who they are, incorporate that into the subject. And whether you're in private school, your own school, or the public food system, that is a key that you have to use for our children. Great. And they will love you, and they will, I can't, I'll be here all day just saying the benefits. So I'll just leave it right there.
Great.
Thank you, sir, so much.
All praise is due to Allah.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And that only just applies to education, Brother Abdul, that applies to life.
Absolutely.
Techniques, to interchange with people and understanding, like you said, not being so uppity. And we've seen many videos of Minister Farrakhan where he imitates the college student because, he thinks he has arrived. when the reality is your whole purpose in life is to be of service to others. So thank you.
Can I just say one thing real quick, because I see Sister Deidre's comment, not afraid of the children.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid when you're teaching Black children. Like I said, I work in all of the hood schools. If you come to Chicago, you ask them, hey man, what is the most hood school in Chicago? Brother Abdul has worked there. I worked at the school that was in the juvenile detention center, meaning these are not potential shooters and killers. These are people who actually shot and killed people, and they locked up, and I was the assistant principal who was over that school. So in every school I worked in, when you're in authority, there's always going to be challenges to your authority. Black children just want to know, are you a punk? If you ain't a punk, then we every single instance, and there were many where I was challenged by a student. You know, and I'm not a big person, right? I'm not like intimidating people. Oh man, you know, he like 6 foot. Nah, I'm not like, I'm not intimidating nobody because of my size, but it don't really matter. What matters is, are you fearless? And if you fearless, then the children will respect you. But if you are afraid of them, then they will destroy you. You can have all of the knowledge, all of the, you know, the love, and all, if you are afraid of them, right, then they will destroy you, because this generation does not respect anybody who is afraid. Every time I challenge, and it was every time, the students, and I mean, it was some really heated situations. After that, guess what? Every last one of them became my best friend. Every last one of them. So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna go through different examples, even though I could give plenty.
Thank you so much. And to the students that belong to the Demand for Separation United College students, thank you again. You all are phenomenal. And this experience, we pray, increases your devotion. Being among each other is going to keep you in that place where Brother Abdul just spoke about, where you can prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually for that separation. Like minds, like spirits, like activities. And so keep in tune with each other as we keep calling on you, because as we shared with you all, the next step is our next point of contention competition that's going to be region. So hey, let's get our creativity and actual facts presented. Praise be to Allah. So with that being said, all I want to say is one quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's a very brief one. And he says, the mind of God is your inheritance.
That's right.
The mind of God is your inheritance. Do not waste it. So I leave you on behalf of the Parents Engagement Alliance team, Sister Dawn, Sister Nicola, Sister Anita, Sister Afwa, and Sister Mecca, and your sister, Sister Odetta. Woohoo! Assalamu alaikum, students, and inshallah, we will speak very, very soon. And again, thank you, Brother Abdul.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zodi, for that beautiful song. And thank everyone who is in support of our efforts to do the representation of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan the best we can. Assalamu alaikum. Except for, you know.
You're going to close in prayer, Sister Odetta?
Yes, Brother Taqui. You're going to close us out in prayer. Thank you, Sister.
Can y'all hear me fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Students, look for your letters from your internship providers, and you will have your instructions on what to do with those letters to get in contact with your internship providers, and you will be hearing from us as we prepare for the Holy Day of Atonement Points of Contention competition. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, ma'am. And thank you, Brother Abdul.
Thank you all.
All right,
Assalamu
y'all.
alaikum.
Thank you.
Continue to bless you.
Brother